What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only NIO stock, what you should be looking out for the future. I'm also going to break down what happened to the markets today, why tomorrow is going to be likely a very volatile day for SPY and also NASDAQ. We have a lot of options expirations, and I'm going to talk about how this may affect NIO stock. Now, before I break anything down about tomorrow, before I talk about the earnings coming out and some other big things, I do have to mention a couple of things real quick. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Take none of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire NIO community as a whole. And the last thing is, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you're guaranteed up to 12 free stocks, each worth up to $3,000. And the best part is, any could be a free NIO share. It's a limited time offer. The offer ends in just a week, so check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. NIO is down 2.18% for the day, but it's also correlated with SPY and NASDAQ also being down. So I want to actually break down what happened today. Basically, in the market, we didn't have too much that was like so insane to cause the market to like crash really hard that really came out, but we did actually see some big things kind of like later as the day went on. We had Brainerd speaking. She ended up saying that, look, the Fed is still committed to raising rates. They're likely going to increase their benchmark interest rate another quarter percentage point. And we're also going to see the Fed continue to do this and not slow down until inflation truly comes down to their target rate. So the Fed is not slowing down. Netflix had earnings. They actually did better than expected to some degree. They missed on earnings per share, sure. They met on revenue, okay, but they added 7.66 million paid subscribers during the fourth quarter, or at least according to the reports. That's more than what Wall Street expected, which was 4.57 million. That's almost twice what Wall Street expected. So they blew away some expectations. And that could actually help Netflix make a big move and even squeeze a bit, because there were so many people shorting this thing. And then on top of that, there was news about the debt ceiling. It wasn't that serious, luckily, today, but I do believe it's going to become more serious by next week. Okay? We're going to see lots of headlines about this. And the thing is, and the thing I mentioned to everyone to pay attention to is also the jobless claims data. The data came out today. It was not very good, unfortunately. It was lower than expected, showing that the jobless claims are still relatively low, meaning the jobs market is still strong. It's not what the market wants. So let me now put this all into perspective. The market ended up dropping off the data and etc. into the morning. We kind of gapped down a bit. We started to bleed down to 387. Then we bounced a bit. We tried to start filling the gap. It kind of failed. Then we came down and closed around 388, down 0.73%. However, for tomorrow, we have millions of options expiring at the same time. We have currently 283,000 calls in the money, 1.7 million out the money. For the put side, 500,000 in the money, almost 3 million out of the money. So very interesting to see. Now, even though there are way more puts out the money, does that incentivize the market makers to bring us down to some degree? Excuse me. But what would bring the most pain is 390, a close at 390 for SPY, 1.69 put to call ratio. So I expect some crazy volatility, lots of big swings tomorrow for SPY when we have this many options expiring at once. I do think this volatility could affect how NIO moves and the overall market, but I do believe we're going to try to get this gap filled tomorrow. I think tomorrow we might open kind of down and try to push up again, just like today. We're going to get the gap filled. SPY is going to try to push up a little more. And then we're going to come right back down to about 390 and close around there. And I expect crazy swings. Now for NIO, what does this mean? I think NIO is going to swing around quite a bit. From the smaller time frames, we can see NIO did break below 10.8, not the best of signs. But instead of filling the gap, we kind of bounced, just like how Tesla did. It like started to fill the gap and then it kind of bounced and still held above it. So there's a risk if you are invested in NIO right now. And that is this gap area right here. This gap that takes us down to the low 10s. I believe maybe NIO and Tesla move a little bit different from the market. We're likely going to fill this gap very soon. I believe we will. I don't know if it's going to be tomorrow, but I do believe if it doesn't happen tomorrow, by next week it's likely going to happen. We have a double gap that formed here. Excuse me. And I think maybe the market gets a push up. Maybe we push a little bit because of the potential high earnings expectations and also the crazy options chain. I want to note that we have some bank earnings tomorrow morning. They're not as crazy. So I do think there could be a small push up, but then eventually I think NIO is going to come down. From a technical standpoint, this is looking very distributive, and it looks like we have a possible, this almost looks like a head and shoulders, a very different looking one. How you have like a head here and a left and right shoulder, and we're set to still come down. So for NIO, even if we pop up tomorrow thanks to SPY, I don't expect it to last. I think NIO is going to continue to curl down and fill this gap very soon, whether it's on Friday or next week. I'm still net bearish on it, at least for the short term. And I do think NIO is going to come down slowly. For tomorrow, okay, if we don't come down, we're likely going to bounce a bit, right? Thanks to SPY, we could actually have a green close tomorrow, very flat one. But because we didn't hold 10.8, I do believe very soon we're going to fill this gap and come down to the low 10s, either by next week, most likely, or maybe even tomorrow. It really depends on how NIO moves. From a technical standpoint, yes, it looks a little bit like it has to come down like super soon. But for tomorrow, because of the options chains, there is a chance we could try to hold these levels at least. Okay, so that's the way I see it. We're either going to try to hold very close to this level, or we're just going to collapse and just start to fill the gaps to the downside. It's got to be one of those two most likely for tomorrow. Once again, it's a little bit hard to predict because it depends on options and how the market makers play these things out. But either way, the trend looks bearish. Going into next week, we look bearish for NIO. We look bearish for the market. Could the market get a rebound rally? Yes, the market could try to rebound, but I do not see this market just exploding. I think what is set to happen is we might be trying to form kind of like a head and shoulders like formation. We could try to go back to 393, then come down by next week. And then going into the next couple of weeks, I expect SPY, in my opinion, by the time we get to February, I expect it to break below 374 and start crashing. We're going to see the 360s pretty soon over the next few weeks, in my honest opinion. I know nobody wants to hear that, but it is what it is. Those are what the charts are suggesting, and that's what I have for this video. So thank you. I do apologize if this video seems kind of rushed. I did record this super late because I had so many important errands that came out earlier today, and I apologize for that. For tomorrow and the remainder days, the time should be normal. But for today, this is what I have for the video. Thank you all for listening. NIO to the moon, because the long-term future is still very bright. And peace out.